Jackie, and I'm here with Jared of Dirty Heads. Last time I spoke to you guys, it was not at Riot Fest, but at Firefly in Delaware a few years ago. So much I feel like has gone on for your band since then. I feel like that was a real big jumping off point. What have you been up to since then? I mean, so much.
Yeah, we've been up to a lot, but I do have to say that festival, Firefly, was one of the best festivals that we've ever played, other than Riot Fest. But that was like in my top 3 favorite festivals. That shit was bonkers. Since then, toured, put out a new album, multiple tours, and then wrote another album that's coming out on October 13th. So we've been in the studio and on the road, just, grinding.
Firefly, you did that acoustic set back in the woods.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was like such a great one-off thing. Speaking of new music, though, you've got Swim Team dropping October 13th. How has the band evolved sonically since Sound of Change?
Well, when we were doing Sound of Change, we knew it was the one time, I think, in our career that we knew we were going to go in and do something completely different. Because with Any Port in a Storm and Cab by the Sea and the acoustic album, there were kind of, well, I guess with the acoustic album we knew what we were going to do, because it's an acoustic album. But the other ones, we just kind of go in and see where it takes us. And just whatever we're inspired by, we write whatever we're feeling at that time. And we knew we could do these beachy summertime jams, and we knew that's who we were and what we wanted to kind of paint for everybody and what we've built. But we just didn't want to keep putting out the same albums, and to go in and write another album like that, we were just not inspired by it. So we wanted to do something a little bit bigger, a little bit more dynamic, and lean a little bit more towards, I guess, the alternative side, even though I don't really like that word, of our band, and especially and kind of uplift our live show, because a lot of the stuff was mellow and more chill, so we needed something more hype, so we did a couple more, kind of up-tempo hip-hop songs, and we knew it was going to be different, but we knew in our hearts and our guts that it was good, and maybe our fans might not like it at first, but we knew it would grow on them, and it did. And then the album after that, the self-titled one, I don't think we should have self-titled it. At the time, I was really jazzed, because you always get jazzed about new music. We got with all these producers, 9 or 10 producers. It was like roulette. We wanted to try something new. We wanted to push ourselves. And I think we came out with an absolutely great album. But now we were like, I don't think that's the way we like to work. We really like to find people that we really vibe with, and maybe have 1, 2, or 3 producers and really kind of get in and make something not necessarily cohesive, because we have so many, style blending, but it was just too many cooks in the kitchen on Dirty Head self-titled, and we found Blueprint and Jonas, and we always work with Rome and these new guys, the Heavies, on this new album, and it was, we wanted to get in, and we were going to do a darker, more reggae leaning towards album. That's what we said we were going to do, but every time we go in and we say we're going to do something, it goes out the window. We just went in and we started writing music, and it all started leaning more towards hip-hop. And it was this weird, obscure, kind of reminded me of a Paul's Boutique that was just a little bit odd, a little bit off from what we would normally do, but still having that Dirty Head sound. And so it's a little bit more hip-hop leaning, but it still totally has the essence of Dirty Heads in it. And I'm super stoked, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it. And we're going to get in probably next year. Again, we have one producer that I'm not going to say his name, but next year, if we do get to write with this producer, it will probably be more of an all-live album, and we can't wait, and I think it'll probably be a little bit more mellow, maybe get back to our more organic-y, kind of rootsy stuff.
Interesting. So it sounds like the new album has a lot of different vibes, different sounds on it. Your first single, Vacation, certainly harkens back to that sort of traditional laid-back vibe. It climbed all sorts of charts on Spotify. What role do you feel music streaming sites have for your band?
Now I think that's it. The streaming sites, radio is still relevant, and it still totally helps. But if you put out a song on the internet and it starts streaming, and it gets and the internet starts catching on, and it catches fire and it starts cracking, radio. That's where I feel like radio is getting their hits now. Is they're looking at streaming. It's kind of taking away the group of programmers and that have been so amazing to everybody, but the group of people that just say, no, that's a single, this is a single, that's a single, this is a single, and they're kind of putting their thumb on people and saying, no, you can't do that one, you can't do that one, you can't do that one. We could never play a song like that on the radio. You know, you can't do a song with rap verses on alternative radio or something like that. And then you put out a song on streaming and say, okay, radio, that's fine, it's not going to work. And then you put it on streaming, it goes straight to the top of the streaming charts. Guess who's playing that song? So I love streaming now because it's in the fans' hands. You have solid actual numbers. You have proof. You can't deny that this song is working. So you can't sit here and tell me that it's not going to work on radio because it's working here. And then if it doesn't work on radio, that's cool. It's working on the internet, where a lot of people are more listening to music now. You know, so it's changing. It's ever evolving. But you know, the whole. I don't think songwriters and bands are getting their fair share necessarily. If you have a bad deal on the business side of it, that needs to be rectified and worked on. And people getting paid for streaming and you know, artists being able to make a living, even smaller artists. It's hard if you're just streaming, you know. So some little things need to be tweaked, or major things need to be tweaked. But overall, I think streaming is where it's headed, and I think it's a good thing because it's more in the fans' hands now.
Definitely something important when you're considering a new album cycle. What sort of goals do you have for Swim Team? What thoughts do you hope? Where do you hope to get with it?
I hope people. I know some people aren't gonna get it, but I feel like eventually maybe they will. And I just hope they enjoy it. You know, we've always said from the beginning we started doing this for fun, and that's when we wrote our best stuff. And once we got back in with only a smaller group of dudes that we liked, that we had a lot of fun. It felt like our first album. We were just fucking around, having fun, experimenting, doing new shit, which we always do. And it was very refreshing. There was no pressure. You know, I think we had put a lot of pressure on ourselves working with all those other producers on the last album, Dirty Heads, on self-titled. So this one was just kind of like, if we feel it, if we're inspired by it and it feels good, that's where it goes. We didn't think about singles. We didn't think about, you know, what radio is doing. We didn't think about what this band was doing. We didn't think about what that band was doing. Just whatever anybody was bringing to the table, if it was working and we felt it, we just went with it. And like I said, I love that it's a little weirder. It's a little weirder than the stuff we do, but I love it. It's a little bit more quirky, but I think our fans are really, really going to dig it.
It's got to be more enjoyable to just follow the vibe and not have to worry about numbers so much. How do you go about choosing your set for a show like Riot Fest? It's a little bit different than a headlining tour.
Yeah, definitely. Festivals, we kind of have our festival sets because your time's usually shorter. So, you know, you got to play some fan favorites, and you can't necessarily play the deeper cuts for like the day one fans. So we tend to keep it more on the up-tempo side. We just kind of do all of our bangers, make sure that we put in all the like fan favorites plus the popular songs, the hits or whatever, and then we try and fill it in with something that we think is going to entertain our fans that know us and then people that have never seen us before. You know, so we really kind of like to keep it straight to your face. If it's going to be short, we're going to go out, we're going to blow it away, and then we're going to leave so that you're like, wow, if I've never heard them, like, I want to go see what they're really about. And then you can come to our show that's, you know, 2-hour-long set, and we start playing the deeper cuts and all that stuff. So it's an easy way, look on Spotify. You just look on Spotify. If you want to be lazy, just look on Spotify, see your top songs, and then you can do that. But that's not enjoyable. We like to bring you up and down and kind of make it, you know, more of a show rather than just playing songs. But on festivals, you have such a limited amount of time that we like to just go out, bang it out, blow everybody away, do what we do, and get off stage and enjoy the rest of the night.
Well, and now fans can check out your fall tour.